Previously on Redbeard's Garage. Well, y'all never got to see the street go-kart run. I actually drove it, and I'll insert the clip right meow. It hit about 40 mile per hour, which that's the way it's geared. It's geared at a 4.8 to 1 ratio, which isn't great for this setup. But we have a new torque converter sprocket that's going to give us, at 7,000 RPMs, we'll hit 66 mile per hour. And at 8,000 RPMs, which I don't know what this motor should rev out to, but at 8,000 RPMs, it'll give us 75 mile per hour at a 2.8, I think, ratio. So what we're going to be doing today is trying to bleed these brakes. We never got the brakes bled. This thing's always been a pain, and I think I know why. When I mounted this caliper, I kind of mounted it like the top of the caliper's like this, and the bleeder's like right here. So I think there's an air bubble trapped in there. So what we're going to try to do later is tilt the go-kart up at a real steep incline and try to bleed it out. And then we're going to pull, well, first we're going to pull the head, and hopefully we don't have to pull the engine to do it because it just sucks pulling this. You got to take the seat off and everything. But we've got to put some 65-pound double valve springs in it from Go Power Sports and some chromoly push rods. I'm afraid with those heavy dual valve springs it'll bend the push rod, so we're going to put those chromoly push rods in it. The Hemi 420 uses 7-inch push rods, if you're wondering, because the non-Hemi uses like 6-inch ones. Then we're going to put everything back together, get those brakes bled, and we'll finally be able to ride it. I did put this e-brake on here a long time ago, and after I put it on I thought it's pretty pointless because your brake pedal is doing the same exact thing. It was just cool because this is the Ricer, you know, go-kart with the quick disconnect steering wheel and the useless fire extinguisher. And pull the pin and go spray it. I'll grab water.
Yeah, that's doing nothing.
That's doing nothing for him. But so I think I'll be pulling this off because we need front brakes on this for this to be useful, and we're not going to go through the trouble putting front brakes. The rear should work perfectly fine once they're bled out. So I'm going to get this head pulled off this engine, and then should be able to have some fun on this thing. So I got to pull the carb off. Look at the fitment. Like, look at this tight. I did buy a long time ago. Oh gosh. I did buy a 90 for this thing, but I never put it on. I think this time around I'm going to put it on. I just didn't want to do that because it's, you know, taking the fuel longer to get to where it's going. This has no fuel shut off, which is another pain. So I'm just going to nicely let that hang there. If anybody sees gas dripping, let me know. I'm gonna take this heat shield off, the old throttle plate. There we go. And I do sell these MSD coils with the thicker spark plug wires. You can find it on Facebook or Instagram, where you can get those puppies at.
Or Twitter.
On Twitter, if you use Twitter.
Or the community tab on YouTube.
Or the community tab on YouTube. Or at local various yard sales. See, what the valve springs we used in this engine was like HD valve springs, and the only reason I used those, and I had the 65s when I built this 420, but I didn't have chrome moly push rods, and I was really worried that I'd bend the push rod, so I went the safe route, only pushing like maybe 6,000 RPMs with those valve springs I had in there, and it was still really close to floating. And the other 420 we originally had on the street go kart, we actually bent the valve, and we're about to rebuild it. It's just I've been waiting to do a high torque off-road build on that engine. There's the valve cover off. Bam. I'm going to be setting our valve lash this time to 0, because once your engine fully warms up, it's going to allow your valves to really be at like a 3,000th clearance. So now we can take the 14mm head bolts out. Oh my goodness, watch your toes. That barely cleared the frame. Look at that. I always forget about this one on the side right here, to allow that to slide out. So I gotta pull this side cover because it kind of loops around the intake manifold that's built onto the head. Oh yeah, we'll set that there. And there we go. Don't look too bad. A little wet in there. Oh my gosh, I do that every time. Forget about my valve, my lash caps. Alright, so heads off. I still got the exhaust on it just because that's the way I wanted to do it. Just hold it like that and don't weigh much.
It's okay, I worked out orange yesterday. I got this covered.
Strong enough.
Oh, how about that new hat? It looks nice.
It is what they call pretty flippin' sweet. I really do like the new logo. Or not new logo, but new to this hat.
Because this is the old hat. This is like the 3rd generation hat. That's the 4th generation hat, which is my favorite. I like the offset. We wanted to get them where the RBG logo was outlined in white, but that was just more money.
Costly.
Yeah, you'd had to pay more, and hats are already expensive. Because we use a name brand, really nice hat. This is the most comfortable hat I've ever owned. I've had other fitted hats, or not fitted, stretch fit hats that are just so stiff when they're new. I like these a lot.
These are this is the flex fit,
Yeah.
but it's not like the super tight flex fit.
Yeah.
It
They're
just
Port Authority brand, I believe.
it's like it hugs your head, doesn't squeeze too bad, stays on. Those are all important things when you're looking for a new hat.
Yeah. If it fits like a beanie, then it's probably a beanie. If it feels like you don't have a hat on at all, you probably don't. This thing's also. So, I'm going to put this head in my valve spring compressor. So I always put it in a vise. Alright, so just adjusting it out So as you've seen in my videos, this thing is crazy handy. Are you getting the shot? Mm-hmm. You got to keep it from walking side to side, but other than that, you just unloosen it, or you just tighten it. Pull the keepers out. They suck putting back in, but other than that, it's not a hard job. And putting this in a vise makes it a million times easier. There's that old stock, well, not stock, heavy duty valve spring. Have our new double valve spring, which has 2 in it. Now if you don't put your valve spring compressor in the vise, this can be a little bit of a pickle. Man, that beats. Trying to thumb this thing, which is almost impossible. Easy. Actually, normally use 2 screwdrivers. Come on, baby, be it. Alright, that was a doozy and a half. Oh my gosh, slunger rod. So we got that double spring in there. Good gosh, those keepers suck. So now we just repeat the same process on the other side. Removing the keepers. There we go. Cool. So the original head gasket actually looked pretty much brand new, but we're going to put a brand new head gasket on it. We just did actually. And get this thing buttoned up. And that head gasket was only on there for a total of like 1 hour worth of running.
Useful.
So the head torque is 25 foot-pounds. So we're going to start off with 15. Going back and forth from side to side. I'm going to need extension. You're dripping gas. You got to put that cart down more. So we're starting off at 15. We're going to work our way up to 25. Going in 5-pound increments. There is 20. And 25. Alright, so we're at 25 foot-pounds. So we got our chromoly push rods. Make sure that we're in the slots. No, it's, oh my gosh. So there we go. Matthew's my oil boy.
Nurse assistant.
He just sits there and helps me get greased up before every engine build.
Good man, boy.
So now we're just going to adjust these out, and we're going to make sure we're on top dead center. So I'm going to adjust it to 1.5 thousandths of an inch, which is pretty much 0 without being 0. Let's see. What I found with valves is they're horrible. I snug them up because it always changes. That's perfect. There's no way we can get it on the first try. Yeah, so that's the perfect amount. It'll fit in there, but it's good and tight. So that one's done. And I always spin my engine over once I get both of them adjusted. Perfect. Put our spark plug back in and valve cover back on and start it. Greasy hands trying to pull a spark plug socket off is not easy. Alright, so we got everything put back together. We're just going to throw our valve cover Allens in. Remember, these cup washers are awesome. They make an engine look awesome. And you can buy the kits in our Amazon affiliate or influencer link down below the video in the description box. I think they look awesome. You can buy them. I mean, they're a little pricey because they're quality stainless steel Allen bolts and stuff, but if you buy like the valve cover at one time and then the side cover one or the fan shroud, I mean, it's more affordable that way. So we got the engine all put back together. She's running awesome, and we actually bled the brakes. We found out that we took the caliper off the mount and held it down real low and put it on another disc so the pads wouldn't be pad to pad. We pumped it and we end up getting 2 huge air bubbles. Now it stops awesome. So brakes are all fixed finally. So now I had to adjust the steering because I was only getting like half steering lock, you know, out of it. I wasn't getting a full turning. Well, I fixed it by drilling holes. As you can see on this one, I drilled a bunch of holes, and then I was testing out putting more washers. It's stupid under there. There's like 16 washers. But I was just testing stuff. But I found out that I needed to drill my holes right here, which is 2 3/4 from the outside. Then when I was pulling in the garage, since these are so, they're not really thin of metal. They're made out like, I don't know, it's almost quarter, I would say, thick. But when I went to the garage, there's a big concrete lip, and instead of bumping it hard, I bumped up against it and then gassed it, and it completely folded this side. As you can see, that's all bent down. So I made me another one, drilled the hole, cut it down short. Now I'm going to take 2 gussets and weld right there to strengthen that so that won't ever happen again, because I figured that was a weak point on this. But I would like to take those washers off and also try it. You know what I mean? See if it changes anything. I don't know if it did. I don't think so on the steering factor, because it's still tight. The steering's really tight, but when you're driving it, it's perfectly fine. It's because I put 15 degrees of caster on these knuckles, which basically when you turn to the left, it helps pick up the rear tire to send you around the curve. It's what a lot of people do on live axle go-karts, and I wanted to test it with this, and it actually works really good. This thing handles really good. We lined it up and it was dead in line, so now we got to unbolt this front end, switch this knuckle out. First I'm going to reinforce it, so let's get the welding these gussets on. There's a red outlet that's under that. So I took 2 Go Power Sports 3-hole gussets and cut them down. So now I can weld these on each side. On the outside though, I do not want to weld them on the inside because then I wouldn't be able to put my nut in there. So actually, I need to get this in a different position. Like that.
Washers. There you see how bad it bent.
Yeah, I don't know if we're leaving the 16 washers. That was just a test to see if any kind of angle made any difference, and I don't think it did. So if not, we can get rid of all those because we do not need them. You know, it's just causing a bigger weak point, I would imagine. So we'll try without them real quick. I'll run it around the yard and see the way it feels. But there's going to be a good street go-kart video coming out very soon. Maybe a little race between Little Red 2.0. Alright, so we got those gussets on there. Should make it a ton stronger. I mean, there's no way that thing's going to bend now. I should not do that. Hold this.
No, thank you.
I had a lock nut and the washer. Does anybody see it? Perfect. Next time on Redbeard's Garage. Redbeard's Garage is powered by GoPowersports.com. Go Power Sports has a huge amount of awesome go-kart and mini bike parts, and when making your purchase, use the Redbeard discount code in the upper right hand corner of your shopping cart to grab yourself a sweet deal. Hit that subscribe button and make sure the notification bell is on so you'll never miss another episode, and go check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Pinterest to stay up to date with the channel. Guys, always come back to Redbeard's Garage. I'm out.